Hey, parents of teen drivers, I got a good one for us today. This one is a battle of the ages. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about who's safer on the road or who is more likely to get into an accident. Elderly drivers or teen drivers, okay? And so I was doing some research online and I was looking at these categories, and basically the categories are 16 to 19 years old are the teens, and then the elderly is 65 plus. And so, there's a lot of stereotypes that we're going to be talking about here today. There's definitely exceptions to, the rule every single time. You have some brilliant, very safe teenagers who are being cautious and doing what they need to do. And then you have some brilliant, cautious, wonderful elderly people who are doing what they need to do. But the statistics are what the statistics are. And so basically, the conclusion is that teens are more likely to get into accidents than elderly people, and the elderly people are actually more likely to die in an auto accident than they are than a teen is. And it's very obvious teens are young, healthy, in shape, and they can kind of bounce around and survive, where elderly people, certain things can happen to them and survival rates just go down. 65 plus, various things can happen. You have to kind of take the person as you find them when it comes to an auto accident. But as for teens, you have the elements of distracted driving, you have the elements of speeding, you have the elements of, people in the car who are causing distractions, and the first one was mostly meant for cell phones and things like that. And then you have the inexperience of being on the road, the other factors of potentially drugs and alcohol and those types of things coming into play. And then with the elderly, you have the opposite of some of these. You have the slower reaction times. You have the cognition of the brain not being as sharp as it used to be. Kind of the same thing with teens. The brain is not fully developed on the elderly. You have the opposite end of that spectrum. But at the end of the day, I think, and the statistics show as well, that experience trumps all of this. And so an elderly person is typically going to try to make up for some of the faults that they've experienced through the years or slowing down, and they're going to drive more cautiously. They're not going to follow as close. They are going to, rely on their experience to make sure that they're putting themselves into a safer situation. Whereas a teen who doesn't necessarily know the ins and outs of operating, a motor vehicle, could potentially speed or have friends in the car or do whatever that are, it's going to cause an accident. And so that also might be the reason why teens get into more accidents. They probably get into smaller ones, and probably the same reason why the fatality rate is higher for elderly when they get into an accident, because that experience level puts them in safer positions. But then when an accident does happen, it's probably of a much higher magnitude. So at the end of the day, who wins, right? The teens versus the elderly, like who's safer behind the wheel? And the statistics show, and my overall opinion is that the old folks do. And so, be much more hesitant to give your young teen the keys to the car than you would be somebody who's 65 plus. So if anybody has any real world stories or anything about this, please be sure to leave them in the comments or send a direct message to me. Happy to talk with you about those. And it, just from a practical personal injury lawyer standpoint, we definitely see more teen and younger at-fault drivers than we do the elderly. And so it's just, it's probably a volume thing, but, a number of accidents that are out there. So again, Seth Smiley from the Smiley Law Firm with another edition of Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group. Please feel free to leave us a comment or reach out if you have any other questions or comments. Thank you.